My name is Tracy Worthington. I'm a women's empowerment coach, and I am on the Online Prosperity Show. We're going to be talking about pivoting, imposter syndrome, and how to keep moving forward after tragedy.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another enlightening episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we have a truly inspiring guest who embodies resilience, transformation, and empowerment. Now, Tracy, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, I did mention earlier on that I'm a little bit starstruck with everything that
I have to look behind me and see who you're talking about because it's not me.
Well, it is. And if I start introducing you to our audience, they will also realize who we have in front of us. So for those that are watching right now, thank you so much for tuning into the Online Prosperity Show. Now, our guest today has nearly 4 decades of entrepreneurial experience. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, a lot of people don't even go past the 3-year mark. Now, she's done it in decades, all right? So that's the reason why I've been saying I'm a little bit starstruck. So as a coach and a strategist, Tracy's here to help women rediscover their worth and passions through dedicated coaching and guidance. And who wouldn't want to be taught by somebody who has survived everything that we know that could have taken out anyone in business? So she's dedicated her life to helping women navigate all the pivotal life changes. So from career transitions to personal reinventions, she actually specializes in guiding women to rediscover their passions and take a charge of their futures. So today in this episode, we'll dive into Tracy's remarkable journey, her innovative coaching methods, and also maybe the secrets to business longevity, because as I keep repeating, very few people go past the 3-year mark, and the profound impact that she's had on her clients and those that have had the opportunity to work with her. So I want you to prepare to be inspired, challenged, and also motivated to embark on your own path to empowerment. Now, Trace, I could go on and talk about things I'm not even qualified to even start on. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur for nearly 40 years, and you've been seen on powerful channels like QVC and things of that nature. Tell us, what actually inspired you to get on this path of entrepreneurship?
You know, I think I knew early on as a child that I wanted to work for myself. And I remember as a small child, we had this shed in the back of our house that my dad put tools and stuff in. And I asked if I could have that as my playhouse. And I used to make checks and write checks to people when I was probably 7, 8 years old. And I would write checks to my housekeepers and to my gardeners and to all the people that were going to work for me. And I just knew at a young age that, well, first of all, I'm a Taurus, so I'm hard-headed and I like to do things my own way. So I knew that, you know, being bossed around by someone else was not going to be for me because I was the bossy one when I was a child. So I knew that, you know, from a young age, I needed to be in charge of everything. And so that is how I think I started my entrepreneurial journey. And even as a kid, I was always looking for ways to make money. And, you know, if the neighbors really knew what I was up to, in our neighborhood, we had pine cones. So I would go and gather pine cones and I would ask the neighbors if they would pay me to clean up all the pine cones out of their yard. So they would pay me, you know, I don't know, $1. And I would bag those and then I'd take them home and I would decorate them for Christmas or Easter and then I'd resell them. So I made money to pick them up and I made money selling them. And that was just always how I was as a kid, looking for ways to always make money.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us, to that part of your life. You see, Tracy, I've got a 6-year-old daughter, and for Halloween last year, I was asking her, what do you want to be for Halloween? And she wanted to be a witch. So I'm just thinking at the time that, in comparison to the age of my daughter, you already knew what you wanted to do, be, and have. Was there any influence in maybe close family relatives or people that were around you that would have inspired you to want to do this? Or was this something that you'd have seen on TV or in magazines?
I don't think that there's really any one particular thing that comes to mind. I mean, I came from a working class family. My dad was a police officer. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And, we didn't have, I didn't see people around me really that had housekeepers and gardeners and that sort of lifestyle. So I honestly, I don't really know where I came up with all of that, but maybe it was from movies, from TV. I just knew that, that was the life I wanted to have, that I wanted to be in charge and create what I wanted.
Absolutely. Now, some of the things that you were doing, Tracy, included adding value to natural things. Okay, like you would take those pine cones, paint them, and use them as decorations and things of that nature. Was that supported by mom or dad? And I'm also really trying to see here, because dad was a cop, so he would not have wanted anything that was out of the ordinary, or that just looked like it was going to be tricking somebody into giving you money on things. I don't know. Was there any sort of support from the parents in that venture?
My parents were always very supportive of my dreams and my goals and, what I wanted to do. When I was young, I wanted to be a dancer. And, my dream was always to be a rockette. Well, I'm only 5'3", so that dream went out the door. You got to be at least, I think, 5'8" to be a rockette. So, I missed the mark by about 5 or 6 inches. But, I would always go to my dad and say, Daddy, I want to make some money. What can I do? And he would always find things for me to do to earn some money. And so he was always encouraging me to think outside the box and to do things that, would support earning some money.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, with that sort of start, it always obviously gives you the confidence, because so many people would have been told, or the money mindset around the family would have been so different that it would have dissuaded them from getting on. So moving on, school, obviously you tried the dancing and the height, restriction came in. I can imagine what it was like trying to go on roller coasters and things like that. So what was it like during your school days?
You must be this tall.
Yeah. Great stuff. All right. And your school days, how did you go through those? Because if you've got an entrepreneurial mind, you obviously are not following or just trying to learn for learning's sake like other kids, and confirm maybe the entrepreneurial spirit kicked in high school or all those other times.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, as a student, I'm a really good student, and I am a lifetime student. I still take courses. I still love to learn. I still get certifications in coaching that I may never use, but I just like to learn, and I like to have new tools and lots of knowledge. So I was a good student. I would say, in my high school years, a little bit of my perfectionism, if you will, really kicked in when I would have to write school reports. Back then, we didn't have computers, so you either typed it or you hand wrote your reports for school. And I remember numerous times, and I still catch myself doing it now, I would have a 10-page report. And if I got to page 9 and my handwriting shifted a little bit and it didn't look like everything else, I would start all over again and rewrite the whole thing. And I remember nights my mother would knock on the door at 1 o'clock in the morning. Tracy, go to bed. You have school in the morning. But I was so busy making sure that everything looked perfect on my reports to turn it in. And, that's something that I've had to really work on, is that perfectionism, because nothing in life is perfect. And sometimes, I really encourage my clients, you have to take messy, inspired action. You cannot wait for everything to be perfect. And that's been really one of my lifelong goals, or lessons myself. And it's something that, I still work on every single day, that, things don't have to be perfect. And I am forcing myself every day, just like I do with my clients. I push myself to release things that are not perfect. It might be a little bit messy, but it's out there. I took the actionable step. And that's really, I think what's important in life in general, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, is to take those steps forward, messy or not.
And I can only imagine. And, speaking of perfectionism, would that be the thing that then drew you into the beauty product industry? Or obviously that could have been something during those times before you now needed to fix that. But would that have been also part of what lured you into that sort of industry?
I always joke and say that I came from the womb wearing high heels and lipstick, because I love to wear lipstick and I love to wear high heels. So, even as a young kid, I always loved to dress up in my mom's, put her heels on and her jewelry and her clothes and dress up. And I loved beauty. I loved hair, even from, as a small child with my Barbies, with my dolls. I always was doing their hair and makeup and dressing them. And for me, when I graduated high school, I knew that going on to university was not for me. I had it in my mind. It was time to make money. I wanted to make money and I wanted to live life big. So, my parents said, if you're not going to college, you got to get a job, because we're not going to just support you. So you need to get a job. You go to college or you get a job. And I said, okay, I'm getting a job. And I don't think that was the answer they wanted, but they were supportive of it. And so I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting dressed, going to an office building that had a gymnasium inside of it. So it was great for all the people who worked in that high-rise building. It was downtown San Diego. And I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting there, opening the gym up, teaching a 6 a.m. aerobic class, teaching a 9 or 10 o'clock aerobic class, working the front desk. And then I would leave at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I would go to cosmetology school. And I went to school from 2 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night. So I was getting only a few hours of sleep a night. Thank goodness I was, just a kid. I was 19 years old. So I could do that kind of schedule. Now that would kill me. If I don't get my 8 hours, forget it. But, that was my journey for 16 months. And I knew that I loved being in the beauty industry. I loved the beauty. And once I got into it, I really loved being able to help women transform from the outside. And watching that transformation also helped them transform from the inside. Because we as women, when we are having a bad day, sometimes all we need is a new bright pink lipstick, or to go get a manicure, or go get our hair blown out. And it can change how we feel about ourselves. So I loved watching that transformation from them sitting in my chair and them getting out of the chair and head up, shoulders back, a little bit of sparkle in their eyes. So I loved how I was able to make other women feel about themselves when they walked out and left my chair. And that's what really, how I became so passionate about the beauty industry. I mean, I knew I loved it. I didn't realize I would love it so much. And that's what I really love about it, is the transformation that I can help women achieve through beauty.
I love that. It's like Michelangelo, when he was asked how did you get the statue from this abstract marble? And he just says, we remove the pieces that were not the statue. So when the woman comes to you, they're who they are. All you're just doing is giving them back to themselves, really. And I can only imagine that that would help so many people that were probably feeling inadequate. Now, how are you now using these sort of transformations, or how are they complementing what you're doing now in your coaching practice? Because I think this is huge.
I think it's honestly, they're very similar. You know, I transformed women from the outside. Now I'm helping transform them from the inside so that they can feel good about themselves from the inside out rather from the outside in. You know, transforming them on the outside, giving them a new haircut, a new hair color, a blow dry, their makeup, whatever. That transforms the outside, which helps them transform the inside. But now I help them transform from the inside out. That's really my passion.
Absolutely. And for you can't give off that which you don't have, you know, like it has to have come from your own self-belief as well. But there were times when you also had personal tragedies, and, you know, you had business setbacks, which really required you to focus on you. How did you still manage to be able to be there for these women, even though you were going through your own go-throughs?
You know, that's a really good question. And I think still it goes back to, you know, I had a blow dry salon for almost 10 years. And again, watching those women come in and, you know, maybe their shoulders are slumped over, whatever. And then we blow their hair out and they have a beautiful hairstyle and they walk out, and I might have been having a really crappy day with all the stuff that I was going through and that I was dealing with on a bad business deal. But none of my clients ever knew that was going on. And it really helped me. Honestly, that was my therapy, watching them be happy with their transformation and walking out of the salon. So I still felt like I was doing a good job because clients were happy when they left. They felt good about themselves. So for me, that helped me get through what I was going through and dealing with, just knowing that I was still making other women happy when they left my salon.
Absolutely. But maybe they'll come in, talk about their marriages, talk about their kids, and talk about, yes, you know, where they're going after they get their hair done. There's yes, a time when you had faced a really big loss in your life. How did you go through that one?
Oh, well, you know, Prosper, I have dealt with quite a few big, huge transitions. One of them was I lost my husband in 2008 to suicide. And that was right after my QVC journey. And the beauty industry and my niche was changing dramatically. And I was no longer really a niche product. And I was at a transitional point where I either needed to put a ton of money into the business to really get it to that next level. And at that time, losing my husband and going through that tragedy and figuring out what was next in my life. And, you know, I just had fog brain for a good year. You know, I mean, it's hard to function. And to be honest, I don't remember much of that year after. But, you know, I think just still knowing that I'm helping people, and tragedy is part of life, unfortunately. And, you know, we have to figure out how to move forward. And, you know, that's really, I had to take each step. And that's how I help coach my clients, because I have been through that. And I've had a lot of tragedy. And it was after that I made the decision that I was not going to put the money into my business, that I was going to close it down. I sold off some of my formulas of product. sold off a couple different things, that would bring in a little bit of money. And then I decided to close that business down. And I left Los Angeles and moved down to the Palm Springs area. And that's when I started my salon. I decided, these are services that I used in LA, and we get a lot of people coming from Los Angeles, San Diego, Orange County that use those same services, and we needed them in the desert. So that was my next idea, was to start and launch this salon. And I had that for almost 10 years before, again, I got knocked down with a bad business deal. And then COVID came. So I kind of had two big hits at one time that really, both of those knocked me to my knees. It took me down. And ultimately, I ended up having to file bankruptcy, and I lost my house over it. But, the one thing is, I've never given up. I will never give up. And in life, we have to pivot. And sometimes we don't like that we're being forced to pivot. But I am a true believer that everything happens for us, not to us. And sometimes we don't always know what that reason is, but we have to just keep marching forward every single day. And you have to put one foot in front of the other. And then eventually you start seeing those layers peel away and you go, oh, I understand now. Because of this, I learned this lesson and I've grown, and now I'm better in this way. So that's how I've had to deal with some setbacks. And I've had some really major setbacks. Sometimes it looks very glamorous from the outside. Oh, look at her. She was on QVC. She lived in a beautiful house and drove a fancy sports car. And, it looks good from the outside, but people still have things that they're dealing with on the inside. And it's how we deal with those and how we show up is how we transform ourselves, I believe.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for walking us through all of that, because to whom much is given, much is required. And I feel like, you took everything as it came in. And what I just learned from that is, no matter what it is you're going through, just be on the lookout for what the lessons are in all of that, because if nothing else, one day you'd have a good story to tell. And
that's right.
I'm glad you've had to share this with us today. But you'd also maybe get a chuckle out of this. So many coaches these days are people that have decided on a weekend to go and listen to some guy who speaks and yells at them, and then they walk over a couple of calls, and then on the way back they go into a pharmacy and buy some ointment because their feet have burnt, and lo and behold, there's a computer shop next day, and then they buy a computer, and tomorrow morning they open that computer and they already claim to be a coach, and it's just no lived experience, and they're now wanting to work with people and show them that you too can go past all of these things. But you've had all of these experiences that literally put you to your knees. Now, how have these experiences now influenced your coaching philosophy and the methods you're now leading other women to be, do, and have a happier existence?
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because there are a lot of coaches out there that are coaching on things that they have never truly experienced for themselves. And I don't know how you can help somebody unless you have helped yourself, unless you've been through something. I don't know how you can guide someone else. There's nobody that can truly understand the trauma one goes through when somebody takes their life by suicide, whether it's a child, a friend, a spouse, a parent. Unless you have lived that, how can you possibly guide anybody to get themselves through that? So, yeah, you can read a lot of books, whatever, but for me, I'm really passionate about sticking to coaching only what I know, which is transitioning and empowering yourself and lifting yourself up out of ugly messes and moving yourself forward. I can coach on that because I've been there. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. I've had to reinvent myself. And when I made the transition to coaching, it was during the summer of COVID. And I had several girlfriends calling saying, listen, I don't want to go back to in-office work. I love working from home. I love spending time with my kids. I've been thinking about starting a business. I know you've had several. What do I need to do to get started? So that's really sort of how my coaching journey started, was coaching all my girlfriends of how to start a business and, how to maybe find something that they were more passionate about, so they did not have to go back to their day job, their job that they didn't want to go back into the office. And I think COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of people. Women realize that, hey, I have a lot on my plate. I have kids. I have to cook meals. I have to take them here, there, school, and work. And it's a lot. And I think during COVID that, they got more time to bond with their families. And a lot of people realize that, hey, it's time to pivot here. It's time to do something for me. And, that's really where my coaching journey started, is helping my friends pivot from what they no longer wanted to do to something they were passionate about. And, then I started realizing, hey, I'm giving away a lot of information, almost 40 years of lessons and information that have cost me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably even millions of dollars, if I were to be honest. And I'm giving away all my knowledge for free. And I had a couple of friends say, you know what? You need to be charging for this. You have a lot of knowledge of running a business and picking yourself up and starting all over again. You need to start coaching on this. So that's where I started kind of researching and figuring out really what I wanted to do. And this is where I landed, was with women empowerment, because I love making women feel empowered and feel good about themselves and strong about themselves.
Absolutely. And, just going back to the times when you had a salon, when you're talking to someone and they're telling you their story, they're looking at themselves in the mirror. And I think that's the most therapeutic times. And now we're doing the same with Zoom. We're looking at ourselves. Never in a normal conversation are you looking at yourself and seeing the actual transformation happening, during that time. So now you're literally guiding women through career shifts, relationship challenges, and finding new purpose, post-retirement or lost, just without the blow dryer, and what are some of the common obstacles that, people are coming to you for, and how are you sort of working them? Helping them go through these hurdles, because some people might just have a broken nail and be like, oh my God, my world has just fallen apart. And you're telling them, wait a minute, I just went through all of this,
Yes. I think one of the number one things that I get a lot of people reaching out about, and it seems to be the big buzzword lately, but it's really a problem, which is imposter syndrome. Most people do not believe that they are smart enough or worthy enough to do what it is they want to do. And I felt the same way as a coach. I thought, who am I to, tell somebody, yes, I've been through this. Yes, I've done these steps. Who am I, though, to tell people how to do this? Well, I am here to tell people how to do it because I have done it. I've lived it. I've done the steps. I've done the work. I have the tools to do it, and I have the tools to pass on to other people. So, I think really for people to get out of their head and to start believing more in themselves, and that they're capable of doing more than they think they are. And that's really my big message, is we are all capable of doing more than we think we are capable of. And that's something we all need to start believing, is that we are capable, we are worthy to have all that we desire, and we're capable of making it happen. And we need to just get out of our head and turn all that noise off and start looking at what skills we have and how we really are capable. When you start diving into that, it's amazing what you come up with.
Absolutely. I quite like that. And you see, most people are sort of really trapped in their own world, and they haven't been able to see what other people are sort of doing. And I viscerally believe that representation matters. And, you can only aspire to be, do, and have that which you can see and can see yourself doing. But to cater for that, you've actually created a community, right? Where the Empowered Women's Network, where people are in a community and they can see others transforming, growing, and things of that nature. First of all, what does that entail, and how can the listener get involved in this network if it is open for people to join?
It's open for people to join. There's actually a wait list right now to join. It has not launched. It's going to be launching on March the 5th, and it's going to be a monthly membership. And we're going to have special guests. I've got, girlfriends my age who have also made big, huge transformations. I have a friend who literally just got her PhD and is doing her residency at the age of 51. She went back to school and became a doctor at the age of 51. Her kids are grown, they're in college, and she decided she wanted to go back to school and do something she was passionate about. And, a lot of women will say, oh, well, I'm, 51 years old. I'm too old to do that. No, you're not. You're never too old. You're going to be that age anyway. So why not be that age and do something that matters to you, that you're passionate about? So you're never too old to start something new. That is the message I try and drive home with my community, because my community is really women who are 40 plus, and you are never too old to start something new that makes you feel happy and that you're passionate about. So that's part of our monthly membership. I'm going to be having guests who talk about how they made that decision, how they went back to school. I have another friend who divorced her husband after 15 years, packed her bags, and moved to Dubai. And now she has her own real estate brokerage. So, my goal is to bring on other inspiring women that can help and guide other women and inspire them to do things that they're passionate about. So that's our Empowered Women's Network. We meet twice a month for an hour. And there's inside of that network, there's, small little hour-long courses of goal setting and how to build a vision board that works. And so there's all sorts of things for them to do inside of the community besides just our 2-hour calls a month. So I'm really excited about launching that and bringing together a bunch of like-minded women that are going to help support and lift each other up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And obviously, you will give us links to, obviously, for people to join that waiting list.
Yes.
That will then help people get connected there. See, so many people are living in their own little worlds, own little families, and things of that nature. And so many people think whatever they're going through is very unique to themselves, and nobody else has maybe gone past that. And, it is what it is, things of that nature. For somebody who's listening right now and they're hesitant to maybe seek coaching, what sort of signs would indicate to them that it's time to seek professional guidance? Because, Tracy, as you know, fish don't see the water that they're swimming in.
That's true. That's a really good question. I think for women who are feeling stuck, who don't really know what their next step is, who know there's something else out there, but they just don't know what. Those are all kinds of questions that you should be asking yourself, maybe and finding out if that's how you should be seeking a coach to help you. And, I really believe in finding the coach that is going to guide you specifically in what you're looking for. It's sort of like you wouldn't go to a podiatrist if you have an earache, and you wouldn't go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor if you had a bunion on your foot. So doctors specialize. I think it's important for coaches to specialize also and not be so broad in their coaching, because people have specific needs. And to me, that's, a coach should really help them figure out what their journey is, what their roadmap is, and help them lay that out specifically for them based on my experiences that I've been through, so I can help them get through their experiences and on the path to their journey.
Absolutely. Now, Tracy, I can't thank you enough for the time that we've spent on the call today. But it would be remiss of me to not ask this. You introduced us to the 7-year-old who was in a tool shed and writing checks, to everyone who was in their employ and things of that nature. And you would knock on your neighbor's door and ask if they needed any cleaning or ways that you could have made money. Now, Tracy, you've moved around a lot. If a 7-year-old knocks on your door right now and is dolled up, dressed up, and has got pine cones in their hand, what will you tell them about what the future lies ahead of them?
I am going to tell them to just keep dreaming, keep doing, and don't let anybody discourage you. If you have people that are discouraging you, find somebody who's going to encourage you. Because encouragement, that's what helps propel children forward. They need to be encouraged in their young lives to dream and to dream big, and, not be shut down when they talk about their dreams and visions. Children are innocent and they're pure, and they need to be heard and they need to be encouraged. So I would, if a 7-year-old came to me asking, how they could make money, I would find something and I would encourage them to keep doing that, to keep looking for ways to grow and to learn and to create what makes them happy, because that's what life should be about. We should be creating what makes us happy.
Absolutely.
And we all have the opportunity and the power to do that. It's just a matter of believing in yourself, getting out of your own way and believing that you can do it.
Absolutely. And never losing.
That's what a coach will help you with also. They will help encourage you and keep you on the right path and keep you focused and accountable.
Absolutely. And never stop playing. From what I can see, never stop playing and never stop chasing that dream. And thank you so much. Now, they say life begins at 40, and you've been in business for 40 years. What's next?
Coaching for me, I think is where I'm going to stay for right now. I love it because it gives me the flexibility. I have never, ever in my, 40-year entrepreneurial journey, I have never been able to work from anywhere that I want to work from. So I've always had to be very hands-on in all of my businesses. So this is the first opportunity that I've had that I can pick up my laptop. I can get on an airplane. I can go to Paris, one of my favorite cities in the world, or I can go to Italy and hang out on a beach and work and still help others while I enjoy my own life. So that's sort of where I'm at now, pushing, 59 years old, and May I'll be 59. So that's really my journey now, is to, work from wherever I choose to work from while helping others.
I don't know about you, Trace, but I think you owe us a book.
I've had several people tell me I need to write a book. Maybe one day I'll bring one out.
Great stuff. And obviously, as soon as the book is published, you know, you're always welcome back on the Online Prosperity Show, right? So we can launch it again and start the journey.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, I can't thank you enough for joining us on this transformative episode. I mean, we went over 40 years and 40 minutes, and we wouldn't have been able to experience this had you not gone through what you went through. So I highly respect the journey that you undertook, and your life story and your experience has created a pathway for so many people that dare to open their eyes and follow what you're leading, or showcasing here. I can thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed our 40 minutes. That was a fast 40 minutes.
Fantastic. I mean, personal resilience and the power of reinvention is just something that a lot of us need, because so many people are just being thrown back and forth with all these things that are happening in the world. And if you can't reinvent yourself, then obviously you're just going to be run over by whatever comes, or whatever flavor is going on that day. And for those that are watching right now, thank you so much for tuning into the Online Prosperity Show. And if today's discussion just resonated with you, I want you to consider just sharing this episode with somebody who might be going through a hard time, especially in their business or in their personal life. And this might just be the encouragement that they need, so that they open up their eyes and document the journey, because maybe one day they too will have a good story to tell on the Online Prosperity Show. And I can't thank Tracy for the time that she spent with us on the call today. And I'll be putting all the links that she has afforded us to her website and to her community, so that you too can join on that path. So thank you so much, but stay tuned for our next episode, where we're going to dive into the ideas to enhance your happiness and well-being. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content on the Online Prosperity Show, because remember, the journey to empowerment begins with a single step. So just take that step today. Bye for now.